Hey guys, so you want to know how to be able to buy your dream car while still working a 9 to 5? Well, stick around and find out. For me and so many other people, having goals and setting goals is one of the most important things to keep you motivated and helps lead to success and the constant improvement of yourself, not just in personal finance, but in many aspects of your life. Now, me being a car enthusiast, for me, a lot of my goals have always been cars. I had posters hanging on the walls. I grew up in the 90s, in the early 2000s, so 90s Japanese JDM cars were always kind of my thing that I was into. In 2001, I remember I was only 11 years old. I went to the movie theater and saw a movie you guys might have heard of called The Fast and the Furious. And ever since then, I've been hooked on cars. So cars have always kind of been my yardstick to kind of measure my success and kind of help keep me hungry to achieve the next one. Today, I'm going to give you some tips if you're a car enthusiast, or really you could apply this to a multitude of other things, but today we're going to be talking specifically about cars. But some tips that you can use to kind of get from A to B, to get to your dream car, to achieve it. Now obviously, things like increasing your income, being smart with your money, saving a lot of money, living below your means. I have other videos that cover all of those subjects. All of those things are going to make achieving this a lot easier for you. But this is going to be specific to cars, and this is some of the methods that I've done over the years that have helped me get to where I am now, and hopefully in the future will get me to where I want to go. So the first thing I would recommend is your first car is not going to be your dream car. And if it is, congratulations, you're doing better than most of us. Create a roadmap of several cars. Put together a list of cars from the cheapest to your eventual dream car that you want to own, and that way you have steps in the process that you can hit, goals, miniature goals that you can hit on top of your ultimate goal. To level up each time, here's some things you can do. The first, do not buy a brand new vehicle. Depreciation is horrible and you can't afford to take the hit from it. Now, are there exceptions where people buy, for example, like a 2020 C8 Corvette when those came out? Yeah, there's freak incidents like that occur, or like super low production vehicles that are already $500,000 new. Those may appreciate, but in general, cars are liabilities, not assets. So you want to buy cars after they've had the main hit of their depreciation curve. That's going to help you keep equity in the vehicle. Now the second thing is always put a minimum of 20% down when you're buying these cars. I usually put a lot more than that, but don't put any less than 20% down. This is going to help keep equity in the vehicle. You never want to find yourself upside down or even break even on a car loan. And I'll tell you why, because now you're not going to be able to level up to that next vehicle. You want to keep yourself in a spot where you maintain equity for each vehicle that you own. That way you can continually over the years keep moving up towards your dream car. Now, one thing I recommend too is buy cars that have low production numbers and are highly desirable. That's something that is going to really ensure that the vehicle retains its value, because that's what it's all about. That's the name of the game, is finding vehicles that retain their value. So in my own personal journey, I've leveled up a lot over the years. I would say, I've owned numerous cars when I was in high school and college, but the first car that I think really started it was a Nissan 300ZX twin turbo. That was my first kind of sports car that was on my list of cars I wanted to own. I found one that was a rough example. I fixed it up over the course of a couple years. cleaned it up, and I sold it for more than double what I paid for it. Now, I had invested some money into it in that time, but I still came out making a little bit of profit on it. I took the money from that, put a down payment on a 2008 Corvette. Owned that car for a little bit, built up some equity, traded that in for a 2015 Z06 Corvette. I kept that car for a little bit. I'll be honest, that car wasn't my favorite. I didn't keep it a long time, but I got a really good deal on the car, so I was able to trade that in within 6 months for my first GTR. I got a steal on that car, and it's because I bought it in 2020, that car actually appreciated about $25,000 over the price that I paid for it. Now, that was the first car that I did some kind of extensive modifications to, so I ended up kind of breaking even, maybe taking even a little bit of a loss on that one. And then eventually, I ended up buying this car because I wanted a fully built one. I got the need for speed and wanted to really ramp it up. Which leads me into our next point. Keep the modifications kind of conservative on each of these cars. Now, I've been fortunate enough that I'm in a financial spot now where the last couple cars I've owned, I've been able to extensively modify, as is the case with this car. However, in the past, I've kept my modifications to kind of a minimum. I've done just kind of aesthetic things, some light performance modifications, nothing crazy. The reason for that, the return on investment on modifications is horrible. Most cars, you won't get any of your money back. So if you're trying to level up and the car you're buying is one you're only gonna keep for a couple years and it's not your end-all be-all dream car, keep the modifications light. It's even preferable if you could do modifications that you can take off the car before you trade it in or sell it to move up to the next one. And so what you can do if you follow the steps is after a few years, you should have good equity in that car. And hopefully you have enough that you've saved up a little bit that you can put as a down payment on the next one. So you have all that equity from the car that you've already owned, plus a down payment. Now you can level up to the next car on your roadmap. Now do this a couple times and you're gonna be in a level of cars that you didn't think you were able to achieve before. Now, what I like to do when I'm looking for a new vehicle, it's so easy to do. You know, you wanna make sure that you stay patient while you look. And I'm guilty of this. I can become impatient and make impulse purchases all the time. But what you need to try to do is do your research on what the vehicles are going for. Look at the private marketplace, look at dealerships, all of these tools like Auto Trader, Car Gurus. You know, look all over the countries. Find the exact vehicle you want and sort from the lowest price to the highest. That's gonna give you a good idea of where you need to be at. And it's also great because if you find a dealer that has a great price on one and everything seems to check out, you don't have to do much haggling at the dealership because you already know that you're getting a good deal compared to all the other dealers that are out there. A lot of times buying from a private seller, you're gonna save some money, but a word of caution about that, be careful when you do that because private sellers don't have quite the responsibility or the liability that a dealership would. You might end up buying a car that has a blown engine or something, and if you buy it from a private seller, it can be a lot harder to recoup or recover from that than if you were to buy from a dealership and then have your engine blow up. Another thing you can do is learn to wrench on your vehicles yourself. My previous cars, I did all the work on them myself. Now, I'll be honest with you, as I've gotten into more advanced cars like this, I don't have a lift in my garage, and so it's not feasible for me to do the work on these cars. So I do farm that out, I sublet it out, I have another shop work on it. But in the past, all the cars that I was able to work on myself, I did work on myself, and that saved probably thousands of dollars over the years. And so that's really it. It really is that easy. I promise if you do those things, remember to maintain your equity in each vehicle, continually save, continually invest in your dream car fund, and then continually level up. Just rinse and repeat, do that over and over. You will eventually get to the level of cars that you're dreaming about right now. It wasn't too long ago, I had a poster of one of these cars hanging up in my first duplex that I had got after I got my first software engineering job, and I aspired to own one of these one day. They came out my senior year of high school. I always wanted to own one, and I've owned two of them now, and it's just been a great feeling, and having that goal has really helped keep me motivated and helped me out a lot to stay determined and keep working hard in my career. And if this video helped you out at all, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. If you guys want to see more car content, I will gladly post some. This channel is mainly about personal finance and some software engineering stuff here and there, but if you guys want to see some more car content, I'll gladly post some of it. But until next time,